you can be in love with someone. You can love someone and and if you haven't experienced love and you don't understand it and you don't have the tools to move forward, then you're gonna have complications.
Kelly Rowland may be smiling for the cameras, but insiders say she's sitting on a secret that could scorch the very foundation of the Carter dynasty. If what's being whispered behind closed doors is even half true, we're on the brink of a celebrity meltdown that could rival the biggest scandals of the last decade. Multiple sources now claim that Kelly is prepared to reveal that Jay-Z, yes, that Jay-Z, may be the biological father of her firstborn son. And apparently, she's not coming empty-handed. One name keeps echoing in the background: DNA. Allegedly, she's in possession of test results, hard proof, no metaphors, no coded lyrics, just straight clinical confirmation. And if that's true, it doesn't just mean betrayal, it means detonation.
Exactly 10 years ago, they say this was a party for Diddy's son, King Combs, but all the names involved here are huge. Huge. Talking Beyonce, Jay-Z, LeBron James. Now, all of those people are just witnesses, according to this lawsuit.
We're talking about the potential collapse of a billion-dollar image. A marriage, a family, a brand that's been airbrushed to perfection for over a decade. If this story breaks wide open, Beyoncé's carefully curated kingdom could start to unravel thread by thread. Jay-Z might be known for surviving Nas diss tracks and billion-dollar boardroom battles, but no verse could spin this one clean. And for Kelly, this is either liberation or exile. She's long been cast as the loyal little sister in Beyoncé's shadow, but now she might be stepping into the spotlight for a very different reason. And this time, it's not to promote a new album. It's to blow the lid off of one of Hollywood's most closely guarded secrets. Now let's rewind the clock a bit. Because the signs, they were always there, hiding in plain sight. Remember the emotional birthday dinner where Kelly left in tears after spending the evening with Beyoncé and Jay-Z? No one could explain it. The fans chalked it up to nostalgia, the tabloids shrugged. But what if that wasn't a breakdown, but a breaking point? What if she'd just come face to face with a family she couldn't talk about? The one she was sworn to protect, even as it tore her apart inside. And then there's the constant praise, the scripted admiration. Like her public statement earlier this year, Sean Carter is one of the greatest men I know. Sweet, right? Too sweet. It was the kind of glowing compliment that had people wondering why Kelly, an accomplished artist in her own right, sounded more like a spokesperson than a friend. Could that be guilt? Fear? Or was she laying the groundwork for a bigger reveal, trying to soften the blow before the truth surfaced? The theories are multiplying. Some insiders believe Kelly has been under immense pressure for years, not just to protect the Carter image, but to erase her own identity for the sake of the brand. They point to moments like her viral red carpet run-in with Jay-Z, where fans read everything into his reaction. The way his face changed, the way he pulled her into an embrace like someone rediscovering a secret. A meme-worthy moment for the public, but for those reading between the lines, it screamed unfinished business.
Kelly's had an incredible career in music, first as a member of one of the biggest girl groups of all time, and then with an amazing solo career that keeps going and going, so I'd be remiss to not get the lowdown. Kelly, I have a speed round of questions that I need to know the answer to.
And let's talk about Beyoncé's role in all this. Queen Bee has built her empire on control of her narrative, her image, and her privacy. She's turned silence into an art form. But how long can that silence hold if Kelly truly has proof? The rumors say BA's camp is already scrambling. A small army of PR consultants has allegedly been deployed to monitor social chatter, scrub hashtags, and quietly threaten platforms that dare to amplify the story. It's digital warfare behind the scenes, and the Bayhive might just be the front line. But no matter how hard they try, they can't erase the timeline. Not when fans have been doing the math. Jay-Z and Kelly have always had a bizarre closeness, a bond that never quite matched the big bro label they always leaned on. And as her son grows older, fans have started comparing photos. The resemblance, striking. Too striking, say some online detectives, who've created side-by-side collages so detailed you'd think they were prepping for a courtroom exhibit. Eye shape, nose structure, even the way he smiles. To some, it's innocent genetics. To others, it's the smoking gun.
And that's not the first time we've seen this tactic, and the last time it actually worked.
So the big question becomes, why now? Why would Kelly, after decades of loyalty, finally be ready to break the silence? Theories vary. Some say it's about her reclaiming power, that after years of living under the Carter umbrella, she wants her own legacy, not one borrowed from Beyoncé's brand. Others think it's retaliation, that something changed behind the scenes. Maybe a fallout, maybe a threat, something big enough to make Kelly risk everything. Let's not forget, this isn't just about celebrity drama. This is about family. about a woman who may have been forced to hide the truth about her own child. Imagine carrying that weight, watching your son grow up, knowing the truth of his lineage, but being unable to acknowledge it publicly because it could collapse a billion-dollar empire. If Kelly really is armed with proof, we're not just witnessing a scandal. We're watching the beginning of a reckoning.
We promise you this is not an April Fool's joke, what you're about to hear. It is an actual lawsuit filed by an attorney in federal court about Diddy.
And for Beyonce, whose every move is a study in precision, this is an earthquake she cannot choreograph her way out of. Her image, the feminist icon, the flawless mother, the untouchable queen, could take a hit that no Grammy speech or Vogue cover can fix. And what happens to the children? Blue Ivy, Sir, and Rumi? Kids raised in the halo of a dynasty now at risk of being dragged into tabloid chaos, the kind of drama that turns whispers into legacy slayers. People close to the situation say Kelly's been advised not to speak, that legal documents, possibly even NDAs, are still hanging over her. But that might not be enough this time. If she's really holding documents of her own, if that rumored DNA test exists and sees the light of day, the Carter family can't spin their way out, not even with the full force of Roc Nation's legal artillery.
They're at the party. So I think what happened is this woman's claims weren't vetted properly, and then once the inconsistencies were revealed, they then cut bait, and in exchange for dismissing this, the plaintiff's lawyers here are not going to be found to be liable under the law for any misdeeds. They're not going to be sent to the bar for any disqualification. So they're just both going to go their separate ways.
So now all eyes are back on Kelly, the once silent sister, the ever graceful confidant. Is she about to become the woman who finally flips the script? Because if the rumors are, if Jay-Z really fathered Kelly Rowland's son, then the image we've all been sold, the perfect marriage, the perfect friendship, the flawless family, it was all just another product, and it's one scandal away from being pulled off the shelves. But the truth is, this isn't just about Kelly and one potential DNA bombshell, this is about the man at the center of it all, Jay-Z. A man who, for decades, has expertly crafted the image of a genius businessman, loyal husband, cultural icon. But look closely, and the cracks were always there. We've heard the music. We've read the interviews. Jay-Z himself admitted to stepping outside his marriage. Not once, not vaguely, but in plain lyrics, and later, more directly in conversations where he spoke about emotional shutdown and survival mode. We're not decoding metaphors anymore. He owned the betrayal.
He's gone on to do incredible things, but he has a very specific style. And there's a lot of people who don't like that style. And Judge Torres is one of them. He's now twice kind of taken the reins and tried to take control of the narrative of cases by putting on sort of these preemptive press conferences. He did it with Mayor Adams, and he did it now with Jay-Z, where he goes to the press and essentially puts on a PowerPoint.
And yet, the marriage survived. Or at least, the brand did. Because let's be honest, Beyonce and Jay-Z's union has never just been about love. It's been a business merger, a brand alignment worth billions, a shield against scandal, and a launch pad for cultural dominance. When he cheated, she dropped Lemonade. When she was angry, he dropped 444, art imitating life, sure, but also damage control turned profit. It was never just therapy, it was strategy. Because in the world they built, authenticity is a currency, but control is the bank.
Yeah, look, this is one of the most shocking lawsuits I've read. If this had been the first Diddy lawsuit, our jaws would be on the floor, but there's a quality to it that sounds like almost a screenplay being written, because he says he was lapsing sort of in and out of consciousness, and he's hearing voices of celebrities throughout this lawsuit. There's obviously the mask that he says he was wearing and being degraded and humiliated. There's also a bit of a Mad Libs quality of the...
Now imagine the threat of a secret that can't be spun into poetry or folded into a documentary, a secret that lives in a child's DNA. There's no Grammy performance for that. And suddenly we have to ask how many of Jay-Z's past decisions were made not out of love, but out of fear of exposure. Because Jay-Z's past isn't just messy, it's strategic, a pattern of survival at any cost. Long before the luxury watches and billionaire boardrooms, he was navigating a far more dangerous world. His early career was soaked in street rumors and whispered deals, unconfirmed but persistent ties to crime syndicates, backroom arrangements, favors owed and called in. And while some say that's just part of the origin story for many hip-hop moguls, others suggest it never really ended. It just got smarter, cleaner, wrapped in tuxedos and venture capital.
These are all allegations, very wild allegations laid out in this lawsuit. As Derek said, there are elements of it that sound like some of the other lawsuits. But we have not heard a response back from Diddy.
We've seen the associations. His once chummy rapport with Harvey Weinstein raised eyebrows years before the world turned on the disgraced producer. The two were photographed together at events, linked through film ventures and music licensing. And while no wrongdoing was proven on Jay-Z's part, the association was convenient. Until it wasn't. As soon as the heat turned up, the Carter camp went silent. Distance was created, memories blurred. Then there's the Foxy Brown chapter, a saga that refuses to stay buried. She's denied the worst of it, but the timelines, the suggestive lyrics, the industry whispers, they never fully perished. Even Nas, in his now infamous Ether diss, referenced their alleged relationship. Was it just lyrical warfare, or was he pointing at something darker? Something that insiders knew but never said. Jay-Z's name has surfaced in more than a few explosive lawsuits recently, some directly, others through implication. There was the case involving the so-called freak-off event tied to Sean Diddy Combs, where the accuser originally claimed Jay-Z and Beyonce were present before hastily removing their names from the complaint. His lawyers called it nonsense. The public largely moved on. But when names like Diddy, Foxy Brown, and Weinstein swirl around the same man, even on the periphery, we have to wonder, are we seeing a pattern or just a lot of unfortunate coincidences?
With you, this was a troubling allegation because, first off, there were inconsistencies with her story, and it was a very serious allegation. And for instance, she said that her father picked her up from Rochester, New York to New York City, 5-hour drive, and then drove her home that night. But the father did not remember any of it. That's something you would definitely remember. And she also said there were other celebrities she spoke to at the party. Those celebrities were not even there at the
And what about Carmen Bryan, Nas's ex, who came forward years ago with claims of a 5-year affair with Jay-Z, which allegedly included a pregnancy that ended in a miscarriage? She wasn't just some anonymous tabloid leak, she wrote a whole book about it. According to her, Jay-Z not only pursued the relationship while she was still involved with Nas, but he actively competed for her attention. Is it any wonder that loyalty has never been his strong suit? The deeper we dig, the more it seems Jay-Z's empire was built not just on talent and timing, but on omission, strategic silence, carefully managed relationships, and when necessary, a ruthless ability to cut ties or spin a narrative that keeps him one step ahead. But if Kelly really has evidence that he fathered her son, that's not something even a billion-dollar PR team can bury.
You've probably been asked a million times, favorite and least favorite Destiny's Child song. Do you have a favorite?
Okay, my favorite would have to be anything from the last Destiny Fulfilled album.
Okay.
And my least favorite would probably have to be, oh gosh, Bugaboo.
Bugaboo!
Ooh, I love
This time, it's not a mistress threatening to leak text messages. It's not an artist dissing him in a verse. This is family. This is legacy. Kelly isn't just any woman. She was Beyonce's sister-in-arms, raised in the same household, fed by the same matriarch, celebrated as one of their own. Her betrayal, or revelation, depending on how you see it, would hit in a way nothing else could, because she doesn't just have access, she has history. She knows what happened behind those closed doors, and if she's finally had enough of playing silent partner to their fairy tale, there's nothing stopping her from pulling the curtain back. And then there's the other half of the dynasty, Beyonce, the woman whose image has been so carefully sculpted that even her silences speak volumes. For years, fans and analysts alike have speculated whether Beyonce has been not just a victim of betrayal, but a participant in a grander performance, one where protecting Jay-Z wasn't about love, but about power. The clues were always there, scattered through her lyrics, her visuals, her calculated omissions. Becky with the good hair wasn't just a cultural punchline, it was a cipher, a message hidden in plain sight, and yet she stayed. She built albums around pain, then pivoted to forgiveness. But was that forgiveness real, or was it necessary to keep the empire intact? We can't ignore the possibility that Beyonce has always known more than she revealed. Her brand depends on strength, control, and vulnerability, so admitting to chaos behind the scenes would shake her foundation just as much as Jay-Z's. Every magazine cover, every Grammy speech, every billion-dollar joint venture reinforces the illusion of unity. And in that world, perception isn't just currency, it's survival. If Jay-Z falls, Beyonce doesn't walk away untouched. She risks being seen not as the betrayed woman who overcame heartbreak, but as the powerful partner who helped cover it up.
Celebrity couple. We were never a celebrity couple. We were a couple who just happened to be celebrities.
That's beautiful.
Like real people.
Yeah.
There's also the emotional complexity to consider. If the rumors about Kelly's son are true, Beyonce isn't just protecting her husband, she's protecting the man who may have fathered a child with someone she considers a sister. The betrayal wouldn't be singular. It would be layered. It would redraw the entire emotional map of her adulthood, challenge her instincts, her memories, her carefully maintained loyalty. And now, with Kelly potentially ready to unleash the truth, Beyonce may be staring down a decision she's never had to face directly. Shield Jay-Z again? Or salvage her own narrative before it's rewritten for her? Because if Beyonce was complicit, even passively, in hiding Jay-Z's darker truths, then her silence becomes something heavier, not grace, not restraint, but strategy. The kind of strategy that demands sacrifice, of trust, of family, of personal peace. And if she knew the truth about Kelly's son and kept it quiet, that puts her in the center of the storm, not above it. No song can resolve that, no tour can distract from it, no curated Instagram post can make it go away.
Lawsuit was withdrawn by the accuser's attorney Tony Busby on Friday with prejudice, meaning it cannot be refiled. Now, this lawsuit had originally been filed in December on behalf of a woman only known as Jane Doe, who claimed that Jay-Z and Combs raped her when she was just 13 years old at a house party following the 2000 MTV Video Music Awards.
So as the world watches Kelly inch closer to disclosure, the spotlight begins to shift, not just toward Jay-Z, but toward the woman who helped him stand tall all these years. Beyoncé may not be the one holding the DNA results, but she may be the one holding the final card. And whatever moves she makes next could define not just her legacy, but the survival of everything they built together.
At a party, so there would presumably be people who could verify it or say it didn't happen.
Yeah, and that's one of the problems. You're right. When you mention all those people, they may all have alibis.
Well, Jay-Z certainly seems to have one.
Yeah.
So Jay-Z has mentioned that he's there with Beyonce, but we know that Jay-Z was in New York.
Yes.
The night that it was supposed to be. Now,
the night of King Combs of his birthday, which happens to be April 1st.
We're not dealing with a rumor anymore. We're dealing with the possibility that one of the most powerful figures in entertainment has spent decades crafting a mask. And that mask is slipping. If Jay-Z really has something to hide, this might be the reckoning he can't sidestep. Not with lyrics, not with lawyers, not even with Beyoncé standing by his side. Because this isn't just about infidelity. It's about betrayal on the deepest level. A child, a family secret, and a woman who may finally be done protecting a man who never protected her. For years, Jay-Z has built his empire on secrecy and control. But what happens when the one person who knows his darkest secret decides to speak? Do you think Kelly Rowland is ready to shatter the illusion? And if so, what will it cost her? Let us know in the comments below. Until next time, stay sharp, stay curious, and remember, in Hollywood, nothing stays buried forever.